INSOMNIACS, they have a lot of rough edges that they're gonna have to iron out. It's a game credited won by 17 minutes. They could have gone through all the way, but they were a little bit too afraid of staking it all just because they wanted to end the game.
So going into the draft, Arlott, Baxia being banned out. Typically, it's the Angela right there. Previously, they also banned out the Chip.
Butterflies
The Juicin was a
by
problem that
lantern
Kings
flight.
SG identified. They don't want to deal with that anymore. Kimmy was also banned out in the previous game by the side of the INSOMNIACS. So I don't know if they want to snap pick that one or ban out the CC so they can pick a assassin that they're more comfortable with. Maybe an Yi Sun-shin might be an interesting one for Flying Cloud because it's a little bit late game as well.
I do think that the Yi Sun-shin should be technically taken away and banned out if INSOMNIACS is not looking forward to picking that up. Because I think the Kings is the kind of team that would want to play more of the fighter side lanes.
Yep.
Because it feels like they're forcing it in the previous one.
Yeah, I think they know. They respect the Fanny from Yahiko, so we won't see Yahiko's Fanny for this game. But INSOMNIACS is one game away from going into the next stage and facing up against RSG. Kings SG in a very, very precarious situation because right now, after a loss, can only go two ways. One, they get mad and they play with a lot of passion and they win this one, and then it goes into a 3-game series, or it affects their mental and then it brings them down into a very, very tough state because INSOMNIACS has a very strong roamer in Siren. They're going to snap pick that CC up. It's wide and open. So that might be the Kimmy spot alongside the Yi Sun-shin, maybe.
Yep. Yep. So they definitely do like the idea of that, right? Yi Sun-shin plus the Kalia. Not a very good opening for INSOMNIACS, to be honest. So at this point, Kings, they can just play a little bit more sustained. They won't technically be too afraid of CC to a certain extent. You should still be afraid. But this game, there is a lot more crowd control kind of thing that they can look out for. They can also pair the Kalia up with someone that have burst and famously known to see Lunox being paired together.
Yeah, it's assassin versus assassin. Yi Sun-shin takes a bit more time to scale up, but when he does, he becomes a monster. The Esmeralda will be picked up again by the side of Kings. I think he's just comfortable with that. The Uranus might be one of the options that they might ban out so that Esmeralda has an easy lane. Or, INSOMNIACS might be able to pick up the Dyrov just as a natural counter to the Esmeralda and then just give us something new. You have very, very strong early game bursts. You have very, very strong, double fighter side lanes all in the CC, and maybe they might be able to play the CC in the gold lane themselves.
I think that the other problems, if they were to go for the Dyrov, is that they have a lack of tankiness over to the side lanes. They will be able to fulfill the damage.
You have a lot of sustain, though, in the team fights. And a chase down mechanic. You're basically a homing missile onto the back line. And it makes more sense right now for Kings SG to pick double fighter side lanes. You could go for the Ruby as well.
I do
very,
like
very
Ruby.
popular, very popular in MPL ID. And very good sustain. You can pair it up with the Florin. It's still wide and open. But the Kalia is already picked up. So, yep, there's a Ruby being banned out. Very, very smart move by INSOMNIACS, because once they do that, it's virtually impossible to take down the Esmeralda as well as the Ruby, and then you really empower your Yi Sun-shin to just gun everyone down from back.
There's still a Lapu Lapu available though. So unless INSOMNIACS is looking to ban both of these tanky heroes, then I think that it's going to be fine. Because Lapu can go to the gold lane. And a part of me actually believes that Bong does play a Lapu Lapu as well. So if they were to go to that direction, then they're going to have to look out for a mid laner that will enable the Kalia, which is ultimately important. Having a Farsa in the mix is going to be great. They don't have to be too afraid of Gatokacha in some sense. The only thing that they should be more worried about is the fact that Lancelot can just zoom right past everyone, just puncture his way through right into the face of the Farsa.
Maybe an Alice might be a possible take for the EXP side if I'm INSOMNIACS. Then you can play the CC in the gold lane. At least you have a winning lane onto that one. Then you have a fighter-fighter kind of composition. It's a full-out brawl over on these two teams.
imagine how funny it would be to have both gold lane and XP to be completely infested with fighters.
Exorcist of the
Yeah,
Notice how I say
that's
infested.
Yeah, we don't see that double fighter on the side of Kings. They want to
Okay.
go for something a little bit more structured, more methodical. Go for the Granger. It's sort of like a trade over to Insomniacs. I think this might be a very good option for a Obsidia even. Like if you lock anyone down, you might be able to stick onto them and get the rest of the team to chase everyone down because it's a natural counter to assassins. And I think that might be a good option for the Insomniacs to play around if they do wish to do so. Unless you go for the typical Harith on the side lane to dish out some damage. You do have that physical attack damage from the Lancel already.
I would have loved to see a triple marksman from Kings SG, but unfortunately, the Kimi has already been taken away from the side of Insomniacs, so we won't see that. At this point, we're left with the last two pick for the side of Insomniacs, and that is going to be a Bruno and a Sicilian.
They like that. They're feeling happy about that. They're feeling happy about their pick. That's the late game Sicilian as an insurance. Early game burst damage from that Bruno. And it's typically just a typical front to back. You have the CC to dive in from the backside. You got the far side getting picked up by Kings SG to solidify the draft. And I gotta say, with the Flying Cloud and the way that things are structured, I prefer Kings SG draft a little bit better.
So with that all said and done, well, the final pick is going to be a Farsa. So with the Farsa now, that means that they do have got a good way to kind of play pick off together with the Kalia. They're not particularly too afraid. It really depends on what the Sicilian picks up, but I do hope that it would be a Purify. Otherwise, that will be ooh, the Sicilian all the time.
But you have the Sanguine Claws as a non-committal catch mechanic to cap your opponents in. And I think Insomniacs really has to play pretty much safer this time around. Don't have a lot of aggression, but I know Silence a very aggressive setup roamer in this front. And Kings SG would farm a little bit faster, has a lot more burst damage coming in from the far side. The Granger combo has a lot of pickoff mechanic. There's not a lot of pullbacks that Insomniacs can do, like, Tsunami Slam into your face. Typically, if you are a huge setup tank like a Grok or even a Minotaur, you could use your ultimates in the midst of that coagulation. So we're going into the second game. Insomniacs one game away from going and making it through over to the next stage of the upper bracket semifinals. And Kings SG, the onus is on them. The onus is on them to stop Insomniacs from having that right to move forward.
So far, do you have any biasness when it comes down to the heroes pickup? Like, do you favor any one of these lineups?
I do have a hankering for, unorthodox picks. And we haven't seen the Sicilian as much, but huge shout out also to IIT keeping us company all throughout this match. Scan the QR code and key in the redeem code for a huge chance to get a trip to the M7 Championships.
So with that all said, we do have quite a bit of a fight down in the middle lane. Iron Ryan took a little bit too much pot shots to himself, but it's not gonna be that big of a deal, right? Ultimately, Silent is giving a good amount of information to the members of Insomniacs, but indeed, you are right. Got trapped indeed, as Iron Ryan came in for the title strike and leaped him right into the air, granting Kings SG a single kill.
Not a good start, but it's only a Gata. Kings SG might be able to have the upper hand, but look at the damage that Kaiser is doing onto Bong. Doesn't see Iron Ryan able to get that dash out of the way, but here comes Yahiko with the Mountain Shocker as well, but doesn't want to commit.
Kings SG's lineup does seem to be relatively strong in the early stages as well. Yes, it is double marksman, but both of these...
Oh, the bottom side, Kaiser taking a lot of damage from Bong.
I do believe that they should be able to come to a stalemate for now, taking a lot of damage from each other, but it's kind of tough for both of them to go down at this point in time unless someone comes in from the bottom to the bottom. While after the top lane, Horizon goes in, Feathered Airstrike does have two members from the backside of Insomniacs that is relatively low, but they don't have got any way to really just close out that fight. As such, four of the members from the side of Insomniacs will push the rest of Kings SG away, allowing Desex to pick up the turtle for themselves and also a kill onto Bunboy Reborn.
This is how you want to play the CC. Bring the CC into these neutral objective fights, zone out your opponents, and that was a good Sanguine Claws coming out from Xavier, just to trap Bunboy Reborn as well as Yahiko away, stunning them to secure that turtle from Dex with the Thorn Rose.
So I think that this is a slowly but surely kind of game. INSOMNIACS did manage to find themselves with a pretty darn good start. Even though we are looking at a Sicilian in the middle lane, which generally should not have like a massive amount of impact in the early stages, I think that the Sanguine Claws can still put a lot of impact into the game, regardless if whether you have damage or not.
Yep. Kaiser should have his first core item. The Haas Claws is a relatively cheap item to build up, and it helps him sustain his lane a little bit longer. So he's almost halfway through the Haas Claw, so that's going to be a very core power spike that Bruno is going to have. And something that's going to play around Kaiser, then let him just deal single target damage. But that's the problem with INSOMNIACS. The only issue with their draft is that it's all single targets. You got CC, you got Bruno, it's all single target, no splash damage, not a lot of AoEs coming in. Kings SG in position, that's Tsunami Slam.
It is just straight in over to Silent. They used quite a lot of ultimates just for that, right? I think that is technically 2 to 3 ultimates just to secure a kill on Silent.
All their resources already utilized. On the top side, it's just Juggernaut versus the Blob. It's an unmovable object versus unstoppable force, but here comes Dex. He might be able to do something.
Not
there's
really.
a response over from Kings, moving up to the top side, try to maintain that lane, push it in, and try to psych themselves up for this turtle.
With 7 seconds left on the clock until the turtle eventually spawns. In terms of the jungler's level, Yahiko is at level 7 and Desax is also at level 7. So equal playing grounds for both of these two teams. It all just relies on the initiators, right? You mentioned that INSOMNIACS is more of a front-to-back kind of approach. They do have got a way to actually reach over the back lines, which relies on the dash, but I think that will only come in mid to the late stages in. While Kings SG, they're more of pick-off. The moment that they find one, they snag one, and they immediately try to drop off a kill with a Feather Airstrike right at this point in time. Iron Ryan doesn't have a lot of HP to work with. They put a lot of their efforts and a lot of their resources on the build TZ, and it did pay dividends. Picking up 1 kill, 2 kill for themselves while not losing a single person.
Great rotation. This was what I was looking at. Bong coming in from that bottom side. Oh, the stun up and the decimate onto Bong. That's a killing spree for Dex.
Okay, so it's pretty fair trade for both teams. Kings SG still have got about 1,000 gold lead, and even taking up the T1 turret up in the top lane allows them to go a little bit further from all that.
Yep, faster rotations in from Kings. I think that made him secure a 5v4 battle in the turtle pit, securing them the turtle, the second turtle of the game. But Kings SG or INSOMNIACS is not phased. They know their game plan. It's Kaiser going into the late game, dealing a lot of damage. That is Ryzen already in the corner. Get a Tsunami Slam.
Tsunami Slam, pulling Silent all the way in. A flicker from the side of Ryzen to put himself in a better spot. While, of course, Desax immediately punctures himself right out of the way as it's a 3v4 with not a lot of damage to work with. Xavier down to a sliver as Iron Ryan looks for the title strike, hoping that he will be able to reel someone in, but unfortunately, no fish was caught in that bait.
Butizi came in a little bit too late. Yahiko just ramping up the tempo a little bit, takes down the orange buff and gets out of the way. It's Kings SG, 2,000 gold ahead and taking all the turtles in their name. Just that one team fight, that one rotation from Bong just kickstarted this whole window of opportunity for Kings to really ramp it up and start that aggression going.
This does seem a little bit more like Kings SG is a lot more comfortable in their skin for this game. Post turtle fight, there's 2 turtles down already. We do have got most of these heroes that has already gotten themselves with 1 items, except for Bong. Bong has got 2 items for himself with a Sky Piercer to his name as well. Not too sure how long ago that was, but he's already credited a total of 5 kills to his name.
Speaking of Bong, it's 5-1-0 on this Granger. The turtle will be spawned up. I don't think INSOMNIACS wants the contest for this one. They want to try to be able to match that turret kind of landscape that Kings SG has put onto them. No more T1s up on the top and bottom side as INSOMNIACS struggling to find a footing in the early game. But, you know, good thing is it's Flying Cloud. It's late game territory that INSOMNIACS is looking towards playing.
Yep, they do have a Sicilian. Endless amount of skilling. So even if the game were to drag out extremely long, that will pay dividends to Xavier. So as long as they're just gonna hold down the fort, not lose too much, I think especially for the T1 turret in the middle lane, as long as they're able to clear these waves out over and over again and make sure that the mid lane T1 is, you know, intact, they should stand a chance to actually move their game over to a relatively late game, 15 minutes or so.
We're slowing things down. 75 seconds till Lord spawns up. It's basically a library right now. No one wants to make a move. No one wants to make a sound. And everyone's just reading each other's.
Bobby.
It's just a turret fight right now. Most exciting thing on the map.
Better than
Two Bobbies
Esmeralda versus Uranus.
getting things going on.
Stop hitting Bob! Stop hitting Bob! B.
Bob will come back. He always
Is Bob
resurrects.
better? Is Bob better or is it Bobby?
I think it's Bobby. I think it's Bobby. That's what Jace calls him.
But Bob sounds more Bobby.
You know who's the star of the show? It's
Who?
Larry.
Yeah.
Larry's coming in soon.
Hey, Larry has been useless the past few games, okay?
I think for Kings SG, they might be able to utilize Larry a little bit more. It's a typical front to back for both teams. So if you want to play an all-out brawl in the mid lane, I think that could be a really good way. Do you want to try to engage this one?
I mean, I do hope so. With the Lord that will be, spawning in 15 seconds in, Kings SG have a total of 3.3 thousand gold lead. They gotta have to play as though they have the lead. Because so far, Kings, I think they are giving Insomniacs quite a bit of respect. And I think I can understand why, right? It is still a very scary composition right by the essence, right? Good amount of damage in the early stages just because of the fact that they have the Bruno. They also do have a Lancelot that could just snipe in from the backlines. Ryzen always will have to keep himself on his toes.
Yep. Lord will respawn up, or Larry is showing himself. They're starting things off. Kings SG trying to blitz this down. They know that Lancelot is on the bottom side. Might not be able to get into position as fast as he wants to. Silent giving a little bit more information. The Sanguine Claws won't catch up until anyone. Insomniacs has to go for the defense.
Yep, so Lot taken down. Kings SG have got the objectives that they also wanted. The Lord, however, will only be popping out at 9 minutes and 44 seconds. So it will still take time for them to make their way through. With their main objective gonna be the T1 turret down in the middle lane. Insomniacs, they do have a pretty good wave clear solely just because of Des as well as Xavier. So as long as they're just gonna hold out fort down in the middle lane, they should be fine.
Lord slowly marching out about this.
Oh!
Skirmish!
It does seem like Tsunami Slam is just going to be going straight in, but it doesn't seem like Insomniacs is able to do too much except for actually picking up a kill onto Iron Ryan, essentially disabling Kings SG's way of initiating even more or taking out more real estate out of Insomniacs.
Good find by Dex, going and dashing into the back line, trying to take out at least one member. He identifies the low-hanging fruit, and he's going to capitalize on that one.
Oh.
No T1s for the side of Insomniacs. He's going to get taken down. The T2 top side is also getting burned down. Dex finally falls by the hands of Yahiko, and the Fire Airstrike zones Xavier away.
Oh, Xavier taking a little bit too much damage as he got sniped right by the Death Sonata. Bong is not going to let them rest at all, or rather, he's going to put them to rest, actually. With a total of 3 kills credited over to Kings SG. It was a very good fight from Insomniacs initially, but doesn't seem like it's going to stop Kings SG at all.
Good trade, good capitalization from Kings with that Lord marching down in the top side, enabling them to take down that T1, T2 in the mid side. So opening up that map in the whole jungle is Kings SG's to play.
Victory is just right in the hands of Kings SG. 6.2 thousand gold lead. They gotta have to play as though they have this lead. If they were to play very defensively and passively, the more that they're gonna lose out to Insomniacs solely just because of the presence of that Xavier. However, Xavier's capabilities will only skyrocket 17 minutes into the game because itemizations is still so darn important. With only 5,000 gold over to Sicilian with that glowing wand, that Sicilian does absolutely nothing aside from utility from the Sanguine Claws as well as the burn and the anti-heal effect from the glowing wand.
Again, we're moving from the cafeteria into the library. Everyone's just reading everyone. Insomniacs knows that Yahiko's on the top side. They don't know where the rest of the members are. The good thing is that with the Eastern Shin, you're able to open up the map whenever you want, so they know exactly where Insomniacs is. And Kings SG is going to initiate once they know that Lancelot is on the side lanes or away from this Lord. To play it safe, I think Insomniacs is going to try to give up this Lord and try to play base defense. They do have the high ground opportunity from Xavier and Kaiser if they get into position. The only issue is they have to find some way to deal with Ryzen. The answer is Dex. But if you get too close, that's going to be a huge trouble because he's the main damage dealer right now. I don't think Kaiser's up to par or up to standard as of yet. Doesn't have the high damage. Kings SG typically blitzing this Lord down. No contest from Insomniacs.
Yeah, Insomniacs understands that they are nowhere close to be able to take a proper fight against Kings SG right by the Lord side, right? Yahiko is 15, Desex is 14, going in is just plain suicide. They're just gonna have to hope for a little bit more proper game plan and hope for a scuffed up fight from Kings SG moving in.
Kings SG building up all the thick waves from all three lanes, just waiting for the Lord to pop up in 10 seconds. As Kings SG wants to be able to take down the T3s and open up the base for them to make an approach. INSOMNIACS can't leave their base just because of the Yi Sun Shin. The presence alone of the Mountain Chakra and giving that vision of with the entire team disables INSOMNIACS and empowers Kings SG to just open up and move all around the map. It's just the gold lead is super steep right now. 8,000 gold, 8,400 for Kings SG. The Lord charging in the mid.
Spiraling Trident right over to the mid lane, while in the meantime Silent taking up a little bit too much pot shot. AOG to get himself right out of the way, but right as that happened, they lose the mid lane T3. Yahiko busy all the way up to the top lane, while the Tsunami Slam snags onto Desex. That is one person down already from INSOMNIACS, while the bottom lane Kenny, or rather bottom lane Bobby managed to take down the T3 all the way down to, what, 1/3 of his HP. So Kings SG, they are looking for a fight upcoming here.
There's not a lot of damage. There's the Fed Airstrike pushing them all the way back. Kaiser almost taken out. Bill Teasy goes down.
And it's definitely going to be a tough one because Kings SG is just going to be wrecking havoc down to the Crystal, allowing them to come to a draw phase of 1-1.
A worthy fight for two worthy opponents. Kings will equalize the scoreline. It's 1-1. We're going into game 3. The first time in this long day in the Challenger brackets. And of course, it's a fight for survival. If you lose, you're immediately eliminated, and no one wants that. Crazy this game. 9-1-0 for this menace, and 90% kill participation. It all snowballed and spiraled out of control just because Bong came in from the bottom side for the second turtle and moved his way up, making a 5v4, and this just caused like a crazy spiral downhill for INSOMNIACS.
So with a game going into 1-1, I think that this game is a very equal footing for both INSOMNIACS and Kings SG. But it is still very unfortunate because both teams, they are strong in their own right. However, one will have to say goodbye by the end of these series.
Yeah, I gotta say, notable mention, Ryzen. Great game, 007. Jay's 007. Okay, jokes aside, I think Ryzen played a heck of a game, zoning out Kaiser, which is 0-0-0 on the scoreline. Kaiser didn't die, but he also didn't participate in a lot of the team fights. They waited too long. Take a look at the item builds as well. I know he got the Berserker's Fury as well as the Haas Claws, but it wasn't enough damage and it wasn't enough burst by the end of the day. And Bong created that much space and that much opportunity to gun everyone down. That's full build from Bong, and still only 2 core item spikes for Kaiser. I know he's trying to build up towards that Malefic gun to get a little bit more range, but it wasn't enough time. So CC being in the meta, it's almost always banned out by the seeded teams, but when it comes down to community teams, the CC isn't working out as well.
I think that the main thing is to get that Bruno online. And having an early game gold laner together with a late game mid laner is definitely important so that you'll be able to balance out the early game and the late games. However, this just pretty much doesn't mean anything to me because you are losing out the control that you could have gotten in the middle lane with the influence over to the side lanes. It's actually the same as... yeah, it essentially just means that you're just putting a non-influential mid laner in the...